Hi guys, thank you so much for stopping by. So today I'm going to do a foundation review. Just so you know, I am not a makeup guru. I am not a makeup professional. I'm not in any of those. I'm not trained. I haven't been trained in that kind of profession. So my skin turned, a little bit of story time. My skin became dry this year, 2018. It used to always be, depending on the season, oily or oily combination. And so I was also really determined to do an experiment and a challenge of just finding drugstore products that beauty on a budget essentially, and drugstore makeup challenge. And so I started with this one. Well, not really started, but one of the few things I started with was L'Oreal's 24-hour Infallible Pro Matte. And if you can see the shade, it is 101.5. I can only find this at Walmart.com. I could not find this in Ulta.com. I couldn't find this in Ulta store. I couldn't find this in the Walmart store. I will give you information from Ulta.com and Walmart.com, and then we'll go from there. So it says here, L'Oreal's Infallible Pro Matte 24-hour foundation has an air-light texture with a demi-matte finish. The super gliding mattifying formula has a high water content for maximum comfort that lasts. Containing shine-defy blotting spheres that act like blotting paper, instantly absorbing sweat and oil without disturbing color pigments. Medium coverage. At Walmart.com, it says, discover the new pro finish of long wear up to 24-hour demi-matte foundation. Get a matte finish that won't fall flat with L'Oreal Paris's Pro Matte Foundation. Airlight long wear liquid foundation provides medium coverage, lightweight and creamy. Matte foundation goes on smooth with a demi-matte finish that lasts all day, hiding imperfections for a smooth, clear complexion. Up to 24-hour matte without the flat, air light texture, demi-matte finish. I'm dyslexic, sorry. Hides imperfections for a smooth complexion. The pro look of long wear. I'm going to talk about when I had oily skin, because I was using this when I had oily skin. And I'm also going to talk about when I have currently dry skin. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, just so you know, I have been determined to find beauty on a budget, as well as drugstore makeup challenge, and just to see if that will work, because majority of my experience is really non-drugstore. Majority. I've used drugstore like this one a few years ago. But other than that, this was really what I tried. So I do need to try more, and I'm thinking, you know what? I have read somewhere that drugstore companies, and especially for makeup, they're bringing their game. Like, they are doing so much, and better items, better formulations, better everything. So I was really curious if that was really true, or if that was just kind of like a marketing boost. So when I still had oily skin, I was using this, and I actually forgot I think I was using the Hourglass primer, or the Clarins primer. I used to use that one. I used to use Estee Lauder primer. I know, the foundation is super cheap, but the primers are more expensive. So I use different kinds of primers because I have large pores here. And if you have large pores, you will still need a primer for this one, because if not, it will really get into your pores. For oily skin girls, I would still suggest you actually moisturize, because this is so mattifying that with my skin, it kind of felt like when it was super cold and my skin became oily combo instead of just completely oily on the hotter months, it felt like this was stretched out if I didn't use moisturizer. So watch out for that one. And I had really oily skin. I used to always have a paper blotting sheets. The blotting sheets, I used to always have that, and I would bring this everywhere because this comes in a squeeze tube and it's very convenient, and I would just use my fingers to like rub it everywhere. The good thing about this is it's medium coverage. Oh, the finish is demi matte, as it says, it's medium coverage. I've never tested it for 24 hours. The coverage is really good. I didn't think I needed concealer, but I also don't really use concealer a lot because I don't really need it, and secondly, I'm not really good in using it. I do use it. I'm using it today, and this is not the makeup I'm using today, but before that I didn't really use a lot of concealer, and this can cover a lot. Like it would cover a little discoloration in my under eyes, and I always have rosy cheeks, so I you know, that can also cover it. And it never felt heavy. It never felt like a heavy drugstore foundation. Oh, I don't know. I can't really think of one right now. I just don't have a lot of experience with that. But for department store or luxury or whatever you want to call that, that's not a drugstore, it doesn't feel like Estee Lauder's Double Wear. That is like, you know, that is super duper full coverage, and it's super heavy and super kicky. I actually used to use that, and I had to return it. It was too much for me. I couldn't do it. It was just like, you know, like, oof. It felt awful for me. This is very lightweight. It does make it seem like you're not really wearing foundation. You can still kind of feel like something's there, but it's not heavy at all. It's pretty light. This is not transfer proof, and I'm really glad that they have really not been pushing that as their marketing strategy, because I think when this first came out, it said something about transfer proof or something like that, and I tested it that way. I always wear sunglasses, and these parts here, because my nose area is so oily, that this part here would always, the foundation would just melt off, and then here would always have a line, because the foundation would also kind of melt off when I would wear this. So if you have oily skin, watch out for that. And I did try that with, I moisturize every day, and I used a primer. I also tried it without a primer. It actually does work without a primer. But if you have large pores, you still do need a primer for minimizing the pores. If not, it actually not that terrible, but it can actually go into your pores, depending on how large your pores are. Just to be safe, just use a primer. And if you want this to really last, I would say set it with a powder. I never use any kind of tinted powder. I prefer translucent, and I would just powder certain parts. If you have very oily skin like me, you will want to set this with a powder and a setting spray, because I have noticed that if I didn't do that, the oily parts on my face, it would really, like, the foundation would disappear. And I also tested it with powder, and it will still disappear, but it does last a little bit longer than without a powder. If I do use it with the powder and the setting spray, that lasts the longest. And what I've also noticed, if you have very, very oily skin, or like oily like me, sometimes you will have to keep on spraying the setting spray throughout the day. And I was using Skintinavia at the time, and I had to re-spray my face because probably I was just using the regular finishing spray. It probably will be like 2-3 times in a day I would respray myself. I would just put it in a smaller bottle that I bought, and I would just bring that, wherever I was, and I would just redo that. That did help a lot. Again, it is not transfer proof, and it doesn't really last 24 hours for me, but also I haven't really used this for more than 12 to 14 hours. So I can't really test to that, but if it doesn't last 12 to 14 hours, I can tell you it doesn't last 24 hours. Okay, now to the dry skin people. I tried this with dry skin. I've used this without a primer. I have used this with a mattifying primer. I have used this with a hydrating primer. I have used this with a combination of mattifying primer here, and then the rest is a hydrating primer and a dewy primer. If you want to have, if you're going to use a dewy primer and you're going to use this one, the illumination and the glow and the dewiness that you want is not going to come through. This is going to make it dry, okay? You're matte through and through. It's not going to go through here. You will have to use a highlighter if you want that glow. And what I noticed is, this is the worst part for dry skin people. If you want to have that demi matte finish, that very polished, dry kind of look, I'm not trying to be offensive, but I can actually see people getting offended by that kind of comment, but I'm not trying to be offensive with that. I'm just using those as adjectives. But if you want that look, because I used to like that look, I used to like that kind of look. If you want that look and you have dry skin, I have yet to have found a primer. But again, I am still in the beginning stages, or very beginning stages of my research. You still need to do a hydrating primer, and just so you know, before I add my primer on, I use 3 to 4 layers of moisturization. I use a serum, a moisturizer. I use a cream as well. I use a lot, and this stretched my face here. It was worse with the mattifying primer, obviously, but even with the hydrating primer, I was getting wrinkles on places that I never knew I had wrinkles. So just so you know, you're really gonna have that super dry look on your face. It didn't aside from the it just when I would smile, I would have wrinkles here really bad, and then my eyes would I never knew I had really bad crow's feet, and so with this, it really accentuated that. And then it also kind of made a lot of wrinkles on my forehead. So if you have dry skin or mature skin and you don't really like that kind of look, that you have a lot of lines on your face or wrinkles, this foundation might not be for you. Excuse me, oh my gosh. But if you have found your holy grail, ultimate, beautiful, hydrating primer that works for you phenomenally, you can try this out and see if it does work. And this is for dry skin, okay? I'm already done talking about the oily skin. This could be for you because of that. So far in my research, I have yet to have found a hydrating primer that works really well with this. And again, I have mixed and matched. I have used different things. And this here was really cakey and super dry. I used a spray primer. I used a liquid primer or cream primer, things like that. And for oily skin, you have to be really careful and really find that primer, unless you don't really care if you have kind of that stretchy, dry look that every time your face moves, you'll have maximum lines everywhere. So just be aware of that, because if you don't want to have that kind of look, and it's really upsetting. Like, your self-esteem can, if you have kind of like a withering self-esteem, it might take a big hit. So watch out with that. Also, again, with the dry skin, if you're going to use that, I would suggest you might want to use a non-matte setting spray, because, and you don't really need to set this with powder. Because if you have dry skin and you set this with powder, you are going to be cake country, like Cake Nation. It would be horrible. And then when you set it, I would suggest get one of those glowy, dewy, illuminating setting sprays or hydrating setting sprays. Because if you get the matte setting spray, oh my gosh. I used the Scandinavia finishing spray, regular finishing spray. And that on its own, it made me really, really cakey. It was really gross. All in all, I do recommend this product, especially if you do have oily skin. This is definitely for oily skin people. It is not for dry skin people at all. Even for normal skin, this can be harsh for your skin. You can kind of, not harsh in a way that you're gonna have like skin sensitivity, you know, a bad rash or anything. No, the harshness is on how it looks. You're gonna have a very dry, very cakey kind of look if you have dry skin. This is definitely for oily skin people. And again, you want to work with it. You want to mix and match and try something with it to see if whatever works the best for you. Because sometimes there's going to be certain products you want to use with this, and sometimes they're not going to work with that, and a lot of times it does. You know, some things that maybe you're thinking, oh, I never liked that, and then you try it with this particular product or other products, and it does work, just not on that particular product that you also liked. So do I recommend this? Yes. For oily skin. I do not recommend this for dry skin at all. Oh my gosh, when I was wearing this, I was oily skin, I was not in a pleasant mood at all. Like, I couldn't wait till the day was over because I was testing this. And I tested this for weeks. So, all in all though, the good thing about this is you don't have to set it like in an extreme. When I would set this and I had oily skin on my oily parts, it was very light. And I don't really bake. Like, I've seen a lot of YouTubers, like the makeup gurus, they quote unquote bake with powder. I don't really do that. I don't like doing that. It looks, I don't know, it's just not for me. I don't think you need to do that with this, just because it's already demi matte. And just kind of pay attention to your skin, because I remember I tested this particular one and I used it for a full year, and I had to stop because after a year I kind of noticed my skin was starting to get really bumpy. There was no change in anything. This was the only thing that I was using, and I was doing my research too, and a lot of other people were also saying that it gave them bumps after a few weeks, after a few months. It's not immediate, and that can happen after a year. It just depends on the resilience of your skin. Again, I still do recommend this. I do have sensitive skin too, and it took about a year for that to kick in. So if you still want to test it out and you have oily skin, I think that would work best with you. If you want to test this out, you have dry skin, please always make sure you hydrate your face, make sure you get a hydrating primer and a hydrating setting spray, because this will probably make you a little bit down in the day, because it is very drying. So watch out for that. If you don't want to have like dry patches and all that, this can happen with dry skin. Like I don't have dry patches, but when I was wearing this, you can see like dry patches all over my face. Like, and I'm thinking, I don't really have that, but it will really do that and it will cling to that. So watch out for that one. If you guys have any suggestions in regards to other makeup, I'm only looking for a drugstore for now. Other drugstore makeup, especially foundation, that I should try. I have dry skin, I have sensitive skin as well. So keep that in mind. What you want me to try that I might probably like or not, and I haven't really heard of it. I haven't really tried it yet. Feel free to do that down below and let me know. I would definitely love to hear your recommendations. If you guys want to talk about this particular product, go right ahead as well. And thank you so much for watching my video, and I'll see you again next time. Bye. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please hit the like button, subscribe button, and the bell so you'll be notified whenever I do upload a new video. Don't forget to expand the description box, because as much as possible, I always try to get coupons for you guys, discount codes, and other goodies like that. I also have my Twitter information, Instagram, Snapchat, and for business inquiries, I have my email there as well. Thank you guys, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.